Welcome to the channel. We're going to do a little mining at CRU L2-B. That's kind of a newer area that I have found that has a very decent load of quantanium. So here we're doing a little bit of pre-flight, and I'm going to replace the VAUX C3s and the Rieger C3 with an FLTRXL and a couple of brands. The FLTRXL and a couple of brands is my usual meta, but I actually have started to enjoy the VAUX C3 and the Rieger C3 as well. So I'm going to save this. We're going to go ahead and pull the ship and get started.
The ASOC vehicle retrieval system.
Alright, there's Prospector at CRU L1. This is the station that we're at, CRU L1, for the 3% quantanium bonus.
Your vehicle has been
And we're going to head up to Hangar 1 and get started. Okay, once aboard the Prospector, we're just going to go ahead and do a little bit of pre-flight from here as well. And we're going to set ARC L3 as our course because you can't actually fly directly from CRU L1 to CRU L2 because Crusader's in the way. So you have to go out of your way just a little bit in order to head that way. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to lift up here and we are going to head on out of the station and we are going to spool the quantum drive and head towards ARC L3. After heading towards ARC L3 a bit, you're going to want to actually pull up the star map and you are going to want to target CRU L2. And it's always an okay thing to target the B cluster as well. And that's what I do here, CRU L2-B. And I go ahead and set target, and then I'm going to actually drop out of quantum because I've gone far enough out of the way. And so once I've done that, I can target CRU L2, spool the drive, and head towards CRU L2. Once we arrive at CRU L2, we will go ahead and reposition and target CRU L2-B. So I come out of quantum here. I retarget CRU L2-B and I spool up the quantum drive and I head towards that cluster. It doesn't take long to get there. It's a fairly short trip. Now, you have a couple of different options. One of the things you're going to head back towards our HURL3, but one of the things I don't like is if you kind of use that as your positioning marker, you are going to have the sun directly in your eyes. And so I do like to have a quantum marker as a navigation point. So in this case, I'm going to actually set CRU L2C as my positioning marker, so CRU L2-C, and I'm actually going to now prepare to do the scanning like you normally do. So in order to sometimes reduce the quantum noise, occasionally that kind of hangs out, you can re-spool the quantum drive and turn it off. Then what you're going to do is basically what I did here was adjust the velocity up, pull out the mining laser, adjust the scan angle to 179, and go ahead and start pinging here. You can see there's a tremendous amount of opportunity markers here. And what you want to do, of course, in these particular cases is do a scan at 179 degrees, and then when you collapse on the opportunity marker, go ahead and change it to 2 degrees, the scan angle, and it will tell you the types in the scan results. And what we're looking for here is Q types. You're going to see S-type, M-type, P-type, all sorts of different types. But what we're looking for are Q types, and that's us for a little while until we find them. Now, every so often, after you've gone through all of your opportunity markers, if none of them are Q types, what you want to do is reposition on the quantum marker of CRU L2-C and just fly towards it and just kind of rinse and repeat. So every so often you just kind of rinse and repeat. So here I'm just kind of going through. Here you can see I'm lining back up on CRU L2-C, kind of going forward a little bit, resetting to 179 degrees, sending out a ping, resetting my opportunity markers, and then I am going through here very quickly, and I am re-pinging them at the 2-degree scan angle and getting the scan results. It's going to take a little while to locate a Q type, but not terribly long. This whole trip took me about 35 minutes. From the time I left CRU L1 to the time I arrived at CRU L2-B, and to the time I returned to the refiner. So, as you can see here, I'm looking around, looking at the different opportunity markers, scanning them. Some of them are not giving me any scan results, and I don't fly towards those. You can see me going ahead, and I'll just reset right back on CRU L2-C, 179 degree scan. I go ahead and close it down to the 2, and then I go ahead and continue my scanning. And I'm looking for Q types. That, like I said, that's what you're looking for, is a Q type. And there we go. I just seen a Q type, so now I'm going to approach. Now I do change it to a 90-degree scan, and it's interesting. There actually happens to be a couple of rocks in this area here, so it does pay to be cautious as you approach the different rocks. And you can see I'm actually not necessarily flying exactly towards the right rock here at first. It kind of is one of those things where another rock kind of popped up, and I thought, oh, it must be this one. You can see it on the left-hand side, but then I realized, oh no, that's an E-type right there that I'm heading towards, and you can see on the scan results that I was heading towards the wrong rock. But then I looked up, I'm like, oh, there's the Quantanium rock that I had scanned earlier, and there it is. And so this ended up not being a terribly, this isn't a unicorn. It's not the best rock in the world, but it's going to net me around 24 SCU of raw material, and that is a very decent haul when it comes to Quantanium mining. So we'll go ahead and get started. So here I begin to finalize the first break. The first break took a little while to build a charge into the rock, but it's only a slightly less than a 5,000 mass, so it's not a difficult break. But it does take a little while to build the laser intensity or the energy into the break. And once we do that, we'll go ahead and get it broken up. You just want to pay attention here. It's not terribly challenging, but it is something with this level of instability over this mass. It can jump a little bit, so you definitely want to be cautious. And you can see it tried to jump up here pretty quickly, and then I was able to scroll back fairly quickly on the mouse wheel, lower the intensity, and it never overcooked. So I got pretty lucky here. There only ended up being what I thought was going to be a couple of breaks, but I also did realize that one of these rocks had 20% borate in it. So two of these rocks have Quantanium. One of them is 100%, or the other one was a fairly high percentage. The rest of them were not worth breaking at all, but one of them did contain some borate, so I actually kind of top off with that. It ended up being a pretty good deal here. So I'm going to go ahead and prioritize. You can see there's the 100%er, then there's this rock here. So it's only a couple rocks with Quantanium in them, and I'm going to go ahead and get those broken scooped. So as I'm finishing up this last bit of Quantanium, I have a little bit of wiggle room left on the Prospector, and I start taking a look at these rocks, and I realize this 1,200 pound mass rock is a 20% borate. So that's quite a bit of borate. I decided to actually go in and break this rock up as well and scoop the borate that was in there. And so that's what I did. It's not a difficult break. As you can see, there's a huge optimal window, and it didn't take long at all. It's always good to take one last look at the rocks and make sure you got everything you're looking for. You can see I actually did finish the scoop. Now we're going to set HURL3 as our destination because we want to skirt around Crusader on the way back. And so this is an important step. If you fly directly towards Crusader, you have to kind of go around it. And there are many times when you get too close to Crusader, you can't actually hit your OM markers. It just makes it a much slower process. So this is an important thing. As you're heading towards HURL3, you can actually see Crusader as it begins to appear on the left-hand side. And so I'm kind of monitoring when I see Crusader on the star map, but there's another way to do this. You actually can visually see it. And it's going to appear almost right next to where my hydration marker is at, in that area down there in the lower left, in between the UI and the stick on the left hand side. You can see it right above there. You can see it's just a flash, and that's us going by Crusader right there. So with that, we can go ahead and reposition towards CRU L1. We actually can target the station, set route, and change our course so we're headed towards the refinery. And that's us. We're now approaching the refinery, and we have quite a bit of Quantanium and a healthy load of borace on board as well. So we've landed, we've stored the ship, we're running down to the refinery, and we're going to go ahead and throw this load in the hopper. And that's what we're up to now. I'm going to choose the Dynix solvanation.
Hi, good to have you back.
That is the refining process that I choose. So here I'm going to select my Prospector. I'm going to set up a work order. I'm going to go ahead and choose the Quantanium and the borace, and you can see there's 24 units of 24 SCU of Quantanium and 4 SCU of borace. And I do the Dynix solvanation, and that actually is a fairly good run. So that little run there netted me around 220,000. And so I really wanted to just take a moment and thank you for joining me. And I will see you all around the verse.